Where do you see the future of real estate and the future of an agent in real estate?
Yeah. There's been lots of talk that we will become obsolete, that people, can just buy a house online. Every time you turn around, there's something new that we should be doing and should be spending money on. And if you're not careful, you will lose money in this business.
Yeah. And I used to chase the ROI all the time, return on investment. And over the course of time, that has evolved into what I call return on life. Well, welcome here.
Thank you,
Tamara. Today we've got an amazing guest for our viewers. Today we've got Tamara Stone, part of the Stone Sister RE/MAX team. And boy, it's been about 30 years that you've been selling real estate. Is that correct?
Yeah. Can we not say that though? I tell people, when I got into the business, people would say, well, how long have you been doing this? And the minute it was 1 day and 1 year, I'm like, I'm in my second year. And now people are like, how long have you been selling? I'm like, a long time. Don't do the math. But yeah.
Well, you'd never know it looking at you.
Wow,
You're
thank you.
Very young and beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's just set it up here a little bit. So 30 plus years in real estate, you practice with your sister, you run a team of 11 agents with you.
Yes, we have 11 plus Shannon and I.
And 3 or 4 admin?
Yep. 4 phenomenal administrators that help the machine continue.
Okay, and always it seems like you're in the top 50 worldwide with RE/MAX as a team.
Yep.
And currently last year you finished up somewhere, what?
I think we were 29th last year. I think we're 24th currently for RE/MAX teams in the world, which is
phenomenal.
It's phenomenal because it's a small community still, population 150,000. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, thank you. We're grateful.
So today we're talking about the return on life.
I love this. This is very me. So particularly the phase of life that I'm at now. So.
Well, it's interesting because we are both competitive people. We work in an industry that is very competitive, and it is really about, hey, how much money can we make? That's how we get ranked, really, is the numbers that we pull off. Yet the return on investment isn't always what it seems or appears to be at the end of the rainbow.
Totally.
And so, in our short discussion, I've realized that you really do live your life about the return on life versus the return on investment. So when you hear return on life or hashtag ROL, what comes to your mind? Oh,
my saying that I live by, my mantra is carpe diem. So it's seize the day, and I realize life is short. I love return on life. It to me just says it's fleeting, it goes quickly. Don't waste time. Don't jack around, don't plan on tomorrow because you don't know if you'll get it. And be wise about it. Be careful and cautious. You don't want to be a fool, but enjoy life. And I feel so privileged. Honestly, there isn't a morning I don't wake up and go, whew, I get another one. What can we do today? And it's a pretty nice place to be. So return on life, when you talk to me about that, I'm like, yes.
Has that always been for you? So you grew up in a family that was in real estate, so you're second generation, which is really incredible, because a lot of people don't want to go into real estate when they've watched their parents go through it.
My girls want nothing to do with it.
So was that mantra, is that something that came through your parents, your upbringing, or you just said, this is what I want to own?
I heard it in probably grade 9, and in my high school yearbook, I put, you had a chance to write your few sort of things, what you wanted to do and be. I didn't want to be a realtor when I was 17, although I got into real estate when I was 21. But I put right on there, carpe diem. My first business card in 1995 said carpe diem. I'm not a huge tattoo fan or on myself, but I have 2 tattoos. I say that and laugh. I didn't put carpe diem because it seemed a little too cliche, but the words I have are in my daughter's handwriting, and it means that. It means get out and enjoy it. So return on life is something I'm very passionate about.
Cool. So you went through some university or some school, you watched your parents in real estate.
Yep.
And then what made you go, I'm going to do that? Because you said you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. After high school, I went and modeled. Actually, I went to France, and that's a whole different story. But it's not the world that one would think or that I aspired to as a 16 or 17-year-old. And I grew up fast while I was gone, and came back and went, okay, I'm not sure what I do want to do, but I do know what I don't want to do. I didn't want to have a boss. I didn't want to have a ceiling on my income. I didn't want to have to be in one place. I'm fidgety, and I'm a restless human. So to have to show up at work the same day and do the same thing and eat the same food for lunch every day, I knew all of those things weren't me. So I liked the freedom that I thought real estate would afford me, and has, and continues to.
Did you ever doubt that decision early on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the 5-month mark after I'd gone through training with my parents, and they didn't want me riding coattails and wanted me to go finish. I had 2 years of general arts, and they really wanted me to go finish my degree, and just said, you'll be better off, just get your degree. If you don't go back now, you probably never will. And they were right, and I didn't go back. So I trained with them for 6 months, and then I was set free, and I had to make a go of it, and didn't. I went 5 months, 5 months and 4 days with no paychecks, didn't sell a single thing, savings long gone, borrowed money from my parents, and just thought, okay, it's certainly not as easy as I thought, and I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I thought it would be easier, and I did just about quit, and just about went and did all the things I didn't want to. Went and worked for a developer in a different city, with a cold winter, and had to be at a certain place for a certain time, and had a ceiling on my income. And I'm like, well, guess if that's the best I can do, I'll do it. And I really thought long and hard about it. I'd been offered a job and thought, okay, well, I could do this for a bit. But it felt like I would have been quitting on myself. So I didn't. And I came back and sort of changed tactics. And previously, I think I'd been trying to be a realtor like my parents were. And instead, I was trying to look old and act old and be like my competitors. And instead I went, no, I'm young. I'm going to look young. I'm going to be young. And I'm going to go after a younger demographic. And it worked.
It's so interesting because my daughter's now in real estate,
Yeah.
and she says, Dad, I don't want to do it that way. And I go, no, this works.
I know.
I don't care if it works. I am not doing it that way.
Good for her.
So she's taking her own path and
Yeah.
doing well at it. But it's just interesting. You have to let
You have to.
them go their own direction, just like you went your own direction. And
Yeah.
success does follow when it's your own. You own
When
it
it's
then.
your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm lucky. I remember telling Mom and Dad, I said, because we didn't work, we didn't have a team, but we branded as a team because I was so young. I wanted their experience, and I sold them on the fact they wanted my enthusiasm. And I remember saying in 1995, we're going to go on the World Wide Web. We're going to get a website. And my parents are like, oh, no, that's going to go away. That's just full of dirty stuff. And I'm like, it is full of dirty stuff, but I think it soon will be full of real estate.
Yeah.
So we jumped on that bandwagon. We were the first in town to get a website. And it was that. It was forging my own path with my parents going, I don't agree. I don't like this. And it was just an evolution. It's just how things have changed.
So through the course of time, it's now been some 3 decades.
Yeah.
So there's this thing called change, or ingredients of change. And what keeps you wanting to change and be at the forefront? Because you've been strong as an agent early on, and you just kept building and building and building. What keeps that going?
The people, I don't want to say underneath us, the people who work with us. So our agents now, and we have 2 realtors that work with us who started as admin. And they had no experience in real estate at all, and came in and worked really hard and became extraordinary, from an administrative point of view, and then got into the business and are flourishing. So it's seeing, we had one agent a few years ago who sent a note at Christmas time. It gets me kind of choked. And he said, Tamara and Shannon, because, it was the 2 of us, or is, and he said, girls, I just want to thank you. And he said, for the first time in my adult life, I'm able to give my family all the Christmas gifts they want and buy enough food for dinner. And I'm just like, wow. So as long as we have other people who depend on us, I feel like our brokerage is a family. And I want, I'm very grateful to be at a spot in my life where my husband says, he's like, you don't have to work anymore. You could be down. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to do it for them, and I want to, see them succeed and achieve these milestones. And
that's an equation for return on life, because you're giving life to somebody else and their families.
Yeah, and it's incredible.
That's the joy, yes.
Yeah, seeing them take, epic trips, bucket list trips and holidays, and pay off mortgages and have babies. We had somebody who wasn't sure they were going to be able to afford to have kids, and they've got children now, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not quitting. I love this too much.
What a gift. What a gift to give. That's incredible. Speaking of gifts, are some of your gifts, could they also be curses in your life?
Oh, yeah.
So some of our greatest things can be a double-edged sword. Anything that comes to your mind that you go, do I want to share this or not? But
yeah, I have to think, is there something like that? Not that I can think of, directly. I mean, do I love always, there are times where I'm like, okay, I am working really hard. I do, still show up and have to be there. And there are times where I'm like, really? Like, could I quit? Could I actually stop doing this? And, that sense of there's an obligation, with it comes a little bit of pressure of I want to keep doing this for them. And honestly, part of that, I think, is probably my own ego. Would they all be okay if I got out of the way? Probably just fine. And Shannon too, but it's that thing where you go, wow, but I'm needed. That's part of my purpose. So
yes,
that's all I could say with
well, you're competitive, you've done well.
Yeah.
Balance of life, though, when you're in that state and this industry, how do you keep it all together? And I know you've got a great relationship with your husband. You've married how many years now?
24, almost 25.
25 years. You've got
2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Yeah.
Like, to keep that all going and run a super successful business is difficult.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
My sister. Everybody just needs a Shannon Stone, and they'll be fine.
Explain. I'm curious.
Yeah. It's remarkable, and it's funny because I sold for 10 years before Shannon got in, and she, like me, really didn't have an interest in coming into real estate, and I hounded her for years. Unlike me, she did go and get her degree, and she's got a marketing degree and a business degree specializing in marketing, and she was going to go down that path, and I begged her, I hounded her for years. Come and join me and come into real estate, and you'll be so good at this and you'll like it. And she's like, nah, it's not really my thing. And then one day, which I'd finally stopped asking her, and I had a 2-year-old and a 2-week-old. And I was back at work because I didn't have somebody who could manage it. And Shannon said, she was living in Calgary. She gave a phone call to me and just said, Tamara, I'm thinking of maybe moving back to Kelowna, and what do you think about me getting into real estate? And it was just like angels started singing that, I just went,
hallelujah, of course, here we go.
That would be really, really good. And our family was nervous, actually. And we're a really tight-knit family, and we have another sister as well. And Mom and Dad said, this might be tough. I'm a strong personality. Shannon's really easygoing, super smart, but chill. And which is, I think, why we work so well. And Mom and Dad said, well, if there are struggles, we don't want that to affect our family. Maybe, you'll need to have a mediator. And if there are problems, and we sort of had a whole plan of, okay, if this goes wrong. And like Mom and Dad trained me, I said to Shannon, I said, well, we didn't decide to be partners straight away. She got into the business, and I said, Mom and Dad trained me, I'll train you. And for 6 months, be in my back pocket, we'll go from there. And then we'll see. And she brought a whole different skill set and whole different level of calmness and ideas that had been missing. And she got in, and it works. So how do we have, even that first year, so she started in 2005. And that first year, I took a month off in the summer. And the next year, she took 1 month and I took 1 month, because we both had young families. Yeah. And I just got back. She had a lot of time off this summer. I just got back from a 5-week trip. I got back a week ago, not quite a week ago.
Where were you?
We went, oh my gosh, where weren't we? We went to Scandinavia on a cruise. We went on a safari in Africa, and we finished with time in Singapore.
Wow.
And I didn't even take my work phone. I have 2 phones, like a double agent. And Shannon ran the whole thing she made it look effortless. I'm sure it wasn't necessarily. I know it wasn't effortless, but that's how we keep it going.
Right.
And again, we come from a strong family, so I think in our family, it's family first.
She's going to have payback. When's she getting her payback?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. She gets a lot too. She's going to have a whole bunch of time. But I think it all comes down to the fact that I have a business partner who respects
Amazing.
and understands family, and her boys were home. They're young, so she had a lot of the summer off to be with her kids at home playing and really be a great mom while they're home. And my girls are older. They're 19 and 21, so there's that give and take. And that's how I do it, because when I'm on, I'm on.
Yeah.
But when I'm off, I don't even think about work.
Amazing. I found that in people that are very good at what they do, they can turn it on and off, on and off.
Yeah.
We can put it in boxes,
100%.
slide it over there, and now I can be present. And that's where it really, I think, works well. There's that yin and yang that you need all the time, which is Shannon and yourself.
Yes.
But there's a great book, Dan Sullivan, Benjamin Hardy have written, Who Not How.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of this.
It's an amazing book. And it talks about, we always try to figure out the how.
Yeah.
And rather than trying to figure out the how, find the who.
I love that.
Which is really about the return on life as well, because when you can give it or delegate it to somebody that owns that, because so often I've struggled with in my own life, okay, I got to figure out how to do this, and it's just not in my wheelhouse, and you spend so much time and effort, and then it's only, it's okay.
Yeah.
Rather than finding the who that loves that world and can make it rock.
It's so true.
Sounds like you've got your who built in with your sister.
I do. I'm so fortunate. This wouldn't be the same business. I don't think I'd want to do it without Shannon involved.
What's her greatest gift?
What's her greatest gift?
Yeah, what's her superpower, her greatest gift?
Oh, she's got lots of them. I would say her ability to not get flustered, ever. She, we laugh and we say, I'm the gas and she's the brakes. Shannon stays calm no matter what. She doesn't lose her cool. I lose my cool. I can become like the Hulk. Do you remember the show when we were kids? Like the guy goes green and there's, steam comes out of his ears, and there was a fairy tale or a poem that my mom would read, to all of us when we were kids. And the one I remember is, there once was a girl who had a curl right in the middle of her forehead. And when she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid. And that's kind of me. And Shannon is just level-headed. And even, she gets mad, but she doesn't ever lose her cool. It takes a lot to ruffle her feathers. And I think that's her superpower, because she's calm and she exudes that. So people around her are calm and situations stay calm. So that's her superpower. What's your superpower? It must be something yin and yang. Yeah, I mean, I'm excitable, I'm passionate, I'm energetic, I'm crazy hyper, I'm super positive. If you show me a problem, I will figure out a way to solve it, and I'll do it quickly. And I know there is always a way, and that's, I do that. So I think it's a superpower, because I can, fix things, act quickly, move fast and do it in a positive way, but it doesn't come without challenges for those that I'm pulling in my wake. So that's, my husband is actually like Shannon, like calm and steady and level. And in my marriage, I'm the gas, he's the brakes. And in my business partnership, I'm the gas and Shannon's the brakes. So it works.
We all have a role.
Totally.
We all have a role.
It's just taken me until this age to figure that out, but.
That's great. Do you ever have fear? And when you do have fear, is it a motivator, a friend, or a foe?
I love that.
Friend, foe, or motivator? I'm guessing I have a guess.
Yeah,
but
motivator.
I want to hear.
Is that what you would guess?
I'm thinking it is too.
It is, and it's, do I have fears? For sure. I think we all do. I was telling you before we started recording of, my daughter's friend in an accident and a terrible scooter accident. And it terrifies me. Terrifies me for my kids. What do I want to do? Pull over everybody that I see on scooters and give them the mum talk about why it's not safe to double, and take it to the platforms I have on social media or what have you, and really remind people that, hey, we're not invincible. So that's a fear. I fear, I guess I don't really fear the sickness. I would say I fear. I don't fear losing money or being poor. I'm very grateful for that. And having just been in Africa and seeing people who live with nothing, like literally kids are playing with an old tennis ball and a stick. And one kid has a tennis ball and a stick and 10 kids are running with them, laughing and having the best time. And I'm just like, they have nothing and they're happy. So, if I had nothing, I believe I would still stay happy. But yeah, fear of getting sick or my family and friends getting sick. I'm motivated to stay really healthy and drink a lot of water and exercise like a machine to avoid that. So, yeah.
Can we go to relationships?
Yeah, love it.
So relationships, I find that some of the biggest performers, the competitive people, can sometimes struggle in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be vulnerable here. I would say I have so many acquaintances, but close personal friends because of the business that we're in real estate. It sometimes can be difficult to keep relationships because you're just so busy with so many people and you're acquaintance heavy, but friendship light.
Yeah.
How do you see that? How do you make that all work?
I agree and relate to that 100%. And I think it comes down to, and it took me, honestly, it took until a point where I didn't have to work as much, that I could stop and go, well, what actually matters? And I have a great marriage now, but we went through a real rough patch about 6 or 7 years ago. And I had some friends. I had my sister and my family who were really there and supportive. But I didn't have a ton of friends. And most people, when you're going through something like that, what I found is a lot of people stepped back, like it was contagious, and just kind of went, oh, I'm just gonna hope you resolve that. And they came back and I went, okay. And I had a few close people who were there and sort of surprising allies in that I'm grateful for. And I learned through that, I've learned to not be perfect. And to share some vulnerabilities. And, there are people now, I'm much more real than I used to be. So there are some people who are like, I don't know what happened to Tamara, but I don't like her at all anymore. And that I'm okay with that. Everyone doesn't have to like me. Because I know that I've got some people who would be there for me or my family in a heartbeat, would do anything. But I've let them in. Yeah. And I didn't used to let people in. I was so worried about being everything to everyone and being perfect. My house, my appearance, my business, everything. And I wouldn't show any of those flaws or weaknesses or any of that.
Isn't that crazy that we feel that way? Like I totally relate. And this business is so tough on relationships.
Oh, it's awful.
It's so tough. And when we think we're doing it for the family, they go, you're doing it for yourself.
Oh, 100%.
And my wife would often say, Randy, this isn't about us.
No.
This is about you serving your ego.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, it's ego. And respectfully, and lots of industries I'm sure are like this, but I think real estate has got to be one of the worst. Because your value is the income, and which is not even, that's not even anything, because everybody talks about your gross income. Never mind the fact it took you 98% of that income to make that.
Yes.
But no one talks about that. That's not sexy. That's not, it's
the GCI.
Yep. It's all, it's,
units and GCI.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a flawed program, and ego gets right in there, and I would do that. I think that was a big problem that Derek and I had when we went through our struggles. I'm like, I've worked so hard for this, for us, and Derek's like, really? Or did you do it for you?
Yes.
And it hurt. It stung. It was awful.
I'd even say, you want me to give up the golden goose? Yes, I want you to give up the golden goose, Randy.
Yeah.
But this is our golden goose.
I know. Yeah.
It's, oh man, it's tough.
It's
so
tough. I would like to think, and perhaps it's just the, the Mary Poppins in me, but I would like to think that the generation after us, the next generation coming up through the ranks, I don't know that I mean, certainly there's ego out there. I don't know if we'll ever get rid of it, but I would like to think that balance is a little better, that there's, someone's purpose, their identity isn't consumed with what they've, achieved or what is out on the surface. So I'd hope. I mean, I really do like to share my vulnerabilities, and as a result, I've got some amazing people close to me that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
So
I have a term called self-induced vulnerability. I have to put myself in vulnerable places and positions, and that's only where I grow.
It's so true.
Because when you're vulnerable, all your guard comes down and you need the help of others, or all of a sudden you're exposed in ways that you would never grow otherwise. It's scary.
Oh, it's scary. Even when you're saying it and I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh yeah, that feeling, it gives me a pit in my stomach. And yet the older I get, the more, honestly, I live for a pit in my stomach. Like, because that's when you're growing and you know that, okay, I'm doing something right here.
So we're going to have a lot of real estate agents listening to this, a lot of agents that would love to build a team, a lot of agents that think that team is the way to make gobs of money. And the more that I'm in this business, the more I realize how flawed and fundamentally there's some massive problems with the way we operate our teams and real estate is operated. What are your thoughts on that when I say that?
I couldn't agree more. I agree with you 100%. And I think it's, I think as humans, I think we're all looking to be connected. And I think teams were great, and I think there was a place and a purpose because it was a sense of belonging. I think of some of the big real estate companies when they started in the 70s and the 80s, and you were part of something, and then that sort of was watered down and is diminishing in many cases where there isn't that connectivity. And I think people looked and went, okay, well, I'm going to be on a team so I can learn and get a lot of business and what have you. And we have people approach us all the time, and I say, so why are you thinking of joining a team? Well, I just want to learn and make a bunch of money, and then I'm going to go off and have my own team. I'm like, okay, fantastic. Like, because I look and think, well, that doesn't work. And I used to do real estate coaching for Goodfellow Coaching, and was privileged enough to have people open up their businesses and their books and really have some great talks about how businesses ran. And there were a lot of people with teams who were ranking on the teams on these charts and lists and doing well in their office. And then I'd sit down and say, okay, so that's all great. I'm glad you're chairman's or platinum or whatever club level you are. What's your net? And most didn't know. And I'll never forget one fellow who we went through and he said, well, I don't even know how to find that. I said, oh, it's actually quite easy. Go to line 104 on your income tax return. That's what you made. And he said, wow, there's a whole bunch of padding in there, like, this and that. And I said, what does line 104 say? And so he read it out, and I said, okay, that's interesting. So line 104 means you actually made less than the assistant you're paying to help you. And he had no idea. He had absolutely no idea. So when you have a team, I mean, I alluded to it earlier, when you have a team, it's wonderful, it's great. There is a sense of connectivity, and our agents and our staff, it is like a family. But it does come with pressure. It does come with me checking in, going, okay, well, here we've got an opportunity for somebody. So should it go to this person who's the best fit? Should it go to that person because I know they really need money, they haven't had anything? And there's a sense of duty and obligation and operating expenses. I mean, this industry is, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. We've got downward pressure from the public, from the world on commissions, and we've got rising costs, escalating costs that every time you turn around, there's something new that we should be doing and should be spending money on. And if you're not careful, you will lose money in this business. And that's why the vast majority are out. What did they say? 87% of people are out within 5 years.
In the last 6 months, I've been in 3 separate rooms where there's been the top 50 teams around North America.
Wow.
And 6 months ago, there was a lot of bravado in the room.
Yep.
And then there was a few people that got vulnerable with their numbers.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the bravado left the room because the egos of these team leads was so great, they couldn't admit that they weren't making money.
I know.
And then about 45 days ago, I was in another room.
Yeah.
And it was like more subdued. And then last week, I was in a room in Vegas, and there was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's fundamentally something wrong right now. We just can't make this work really well. And so I'm making some adjustments actually on my team as we speak.
Wow, good for you.
To compensate against that. And I posed the question, I said, we need to find other industries that we can model, because we're building this model of what we know and nothing more. And it isn't working. So how do we go and find a better way to build team? Because team is valuable. It builds community. It's a lonely business. You and I are leaders. We want to help people grow and be prosperous and see their families prosper.
Yes.
And so there's a need for us to do that more than just the money of it.
Absolutely.
And so there's a real desire and a real need for me to find that. I'm still searching for it. I haven't found it. I thought maybe you'd have the solution and the answer for me.
I would love to. I'd love it, but all we can all do is keep our egos in check.
That's the key.
I wish there was discussion out there for our industry as a whole, not for the public. I think it's ridiculous that we're posting club levels and how much we make. I think it's embarrassing. It's appalling. I think it's awful, to be honest, and it's archaic. But if we had closed rooms where there was some vulnerability, and you say, okay, well, yeah, it looks great on paper, made X amount, here's how much I'm taking home, and could you help me cull some expenses and be smart about this?
Yeah.
So
I have a question. What limits your success, or what limits success in our business? And I think it's that 3-letter word. Ego.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yet, I mean, open up social media, go on your reels on Instagram. What's out there? It's ego. Like that's the days are getting faster in the sense that we're exposed to 45,000 marketing images a day, and it's click click click. Oh, she's super fit. Oh, he's got tons of money. Oh, that's a fast car. Oh, it's ego all over the place. And yeah, how do you get rid of it?
So how do we help ourselves find a way out of that? And it takes a leader. We're all followers in most cases.
Yeah, totally.
It takes a few leaders. I think you could be one.
Yeah, that's kind. Thank you.
Because of the way you carry yourself, your attitude, and even you got to recognize it first, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe we should do something on that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, it's thinking of, I'm looking at some, and you'll know them too. Of course, I'm not going to say names, but I look at, social media pages again, or I was going to say newspaper. I'm like, do we have those anymore? There was one in our office yesterday, and I think it was 3 pages, a real estate newspaper. I'm like, oh my gosh. But these mega teams and teams of, 60, 70, 80, 90, and I'm like, okay, so what's your quality of life like? Like, we have a lot of people approaching us about joining Stone Sisters, and I'm like, okay, are they going to be hands-on, or are they going to be hands-off? Why are they joining a team? Because they need support and help.
Yes.
And it's hands-on. And Shannon and I think that, and we have phenomenal people who are all really experienced. But I think that was a challenge for Shannon while I was gone. It was all on her. So tough market, you've got lots of sellers who need a lot of extra love, and they want to talk to the boss. And then you have a lot of agents going, my sellers just want to talk to the boss. So there are a lot of people pulling at you.
Yeah.
And to change, to get away from ego, to be real, it would be a whole new direction.
Okay, so it sounds like they just line up at the door, they want in.
Yeah.
And somebody has to manage that door.
Yeah.
And how do you know who gets in and who gets out, or who stays out?
Oh.
How do you know who gets in and who stays out?
Yeah.
And then what's the process that you do as leaders
to
foster that?
These are great questions. So how do we know, if someone is a fit for coming to join Stone Sisters?
Yeah.
If the first thing they bring up is, what are the splits? What am I going to make? We have a nice conversation. We're really polite. Off you go. We ask some, so anyone listening is going to be like, okay, I won't bring that up. But if we like to ask people, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good question to see. I love having our assistant give them a call. I love meeting out at a coffee shop, having something deliberately go wrong, see how they treat people. Because, and I'm sure you've had that too, there are people who, we've had agents who are really nice to Shannon and I, and really not nice to the support staff, who are actually the ones who are making the whole thing work. And it's the same thing with clients. We have clients who are sometimes horrible to our gal up in the listing office.
Yeah.
And then I'll phone from her phone. So they answer like, what? I'm like, oh, actually, it's Tamara. Oh, Tamara, okay. And I'm just like, and it's not different with realtors. So.
Yes.
So that's one way. We do personality tests. We do demographic searching where we look and go, okay, well, we know we don't need any more of this, and we could use a little more of that. And that old adage of slow to hire and quick to fire.
Yeah.
It's really finding the right personality types, disc profiling, and that, and then we actually put it to our agents and to the office and say, okay, this person has expressed interest. What do you guys think? Because how we work, Shannon and I are coaching our agents and are available for them, but we want, and I said to everybody when I was going away, I said, I'm going to be gone, like out of service for 5.5 weeks. You can't actually reach me. If you need Shannon, of course she's here. She's going to be really busy. So if possible, if you guys can go to each other and see if you can solve problems, and they did that anyway. They did it more, and it was awesome. Like one of the girls, well, 2 of our girls just got married, but a few of them went bridal dress shopping in the spring, and they're forging friendships within this Stone Sisters family where there are problems that come up and they go to each other before they're coming to us, and we're protective of our group to keep that. We don't want any prima donnas. We don't want any hotheads. We try and keep it.
Check the drama at the door.
Yeah, you still get some, but that's mostly from me. No.
So all of these years, plus your parents.
Yep.
Where do you see the future of real estate and the future of an agent in real estate?
Yeah. I love it. Great question. There's been lots of talk that we will become obsolete, that people, can just buy a house online, and they certainly can. I don't think we will be obsolete. I feel that purchasing a home, buying a place to live is a huge investment, and I think there are so many factors that really matter. That which direction does the sun come up? I mean, I say it to people all the time. They're coming here from the prairies, and they come to Kelowna, and I say, okay, are you outdoor people or indoor? And they go, what do you mean by that? I'm like, do you love the heat? Are you a lizard or not? People are like, I don't know. I'm like, well, in this area, you will bake on your deck. Like 5 o'clock, you will fry.
Yeah.
And they're like, I didn't even think of that. And here you get a little more wind. And so I think people need some of that insider sort of intel. Real estate commissions are high. And I'm going to get fried for saying that. People are going to be like, no, they're not. But we keep it fairly secretive, I think, in our industry, where it's, and sellers are the ones that are paying the commission right now. Mm-hmm. It's not like that everywhere.
No.
But a seller is paying, the transaction fee, which theoretically the buyer's paying half of, it comes from the proceeds of the sale. But down the road, will we move to perhaps somebody hiring a person to help them buy and a seller hiring a person to help them sell? Mm-hmm. And I could see that. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, I could see us going in that direction. Australia has a little more of that with their auction system. The UK, you pay a buyer's agent, and it's different. Yeah. So maybe some more transparency on what the costs are, or maybe a consultant fee for an agent being involved, and maybe the sellers pay more of the marketing costs. I'm not sure, but I know, we've had some beautiful, extraordinarily, gorgeous and expensive homes, and we've spent tens of thousands of dollars marketing them.
Yes.
I don't know that a seller knows that. They look and go, well, commission was $100,000. I'm like, yep, off the top, $50,000 went to that other realtor who's shown houses for 4.5 years to those people. And then of the $50,000, $25,000 went to the marketing budget, the video, the drone, the ads, this, that. Mm-hmm. And then we give our broker a bit, and you break it all down to the little piece, and people go, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So more transparency would be good. We actually are really transparent with our sellers, and just say it's a lot of money. I agree, and let me show you where it goes and how that works and why.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts, my 2 bits.
2 bits.
Yeah.
More than 2 bits.
Yeah, I know. You're like, Tamara, cut it off.
So Goodfellow Coaching.
Yeah.
I know you went through that, and then you became a coach.
Yeah.
How valuable was that for your business? And have you had other coaches that you'd say, because of these coaches, this is where I'm at today?
We had tried coaching previously, done a little bit, some of the big name companies where you didn't actually get the big name. So,
I did that too, and I was like, I want Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you get so-and-so.
You get so-and-so who's like, you.
And how many houses have you sold? This is my problem with coaching, and it's probably my own problem.
I agree with you.
You haven't sold any homes. How can you coach me when I've sold thousands?
Yeah.
Yet then somebody comes back and says, well, some of the greatest coaches in the NHL never scored a goal, didn't play in the league. They came up as coaches. So
it's true. I mean, I think it comes down to personality. We got huge value out of Goodfellow Coaching and out of Ken. So we had Ken. He helped us. We achieved a milestone that 2 years before had seemed, it was like the top of Everest. I'm like, I don't know how we could ever get there. Like, it was hard to even. We certainly didn't say it out loud. Shannon and I would kind of indicate to each other, like, it'd be pretty amazing if we could do that. And then we met Ken, and he said, what's your goal? We're like, oh, don't tell anyone, we'd like that. And he was like, okay, that's great. And he helped us get there. And then the next year, he's like, what's your goal? We're like, if we could do that again. He's like, I won't coach you if that's your goal. You need to be striving for more. If you're not growing, you're decaying. And he was really, really good. He helped us get, have an eye on our expenses and be more cognizant of not just blowing the bank on a million things and not tracking them. And, he helped with what other people are doing. He was a great listener. And he didn't say, well, he would if you'd ask, if you'd say, I need help doing this. He'd go, here's something I've heard of. But we'd go to him saying, we're this. And honestly, the biggest thing Ken Goodfellow did was help us. He'd say to us, he's like, okay, girls, this is a great business. We're like, yeah, we were getting all this time off. We were each at that point having 6 weeks or so off a year, and good work-life balance, which is really important to us. And Ken said, that's really good. He said that the tricky thing is, he said, you're running this still like you are a corner store. We're like, yep, you're right. And he's like, but you've become a Save on Foods. And we're going, I guess we have. And we really hesitated. We're very frugal. We watch every penny. We're cheap. I'll be the one to say it. Other people are like, no, you're frugal. I'm like, now we're cheap. And so he helped us understand we did have to spend a little more to be able to grow, to attract more team players and more people who would come and work under this vision that we had and helped us get there. And then I think we sort of tapped out. We got to levels that we hadn't even been able to fathom. And Ken helped us get there, and I credit him with that. And then we just got to a point where we were ready for another level, and it was time to take a break. So.
Amazing. Stop selling, start listening. Stop selling, start interviewing.
Yes.
Be the best interviewer, the best questions in life. Just seems to work out better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, let's talk about something else. Let's go away from real estate a little bit. What's on your vision board? Do you have a vision board?
I have an absolute vision board.
What's on your vision board?
So vision board is a small house in the south of France. So what's my perfect vision? And I've said this for years, and it's coming closer to reality. So in Tamara's perfect world, and I have it on my vision board, is a 4-piece life. So I have it like looks like a, I don't know, like a Rubik's Cube. And it's work 3 months and work hard and help and be there and do that. Go to the south of France for 3 months. I want to learn
What
to
months?
speak. So, well, that's the thing. I look at it and go, okay, well, maybe this summer's really hot, but if I'm going to work, I'd like to be away for the winter. I'm already at the point where I'm like, I don't want to be cold, so be gone. Go to Hawaii for 3 months. For December, January, February. Love that. Work March, April, May. Go to the south of France for June, July, August. Come home and work September, October, November. I'm like, that's perfect.
Love that.
That's on my vision board.
That's your vision board. Okay.
Yeah, I'd really, really like that. And I guess I've just gotten to a different stage in life, for which I'm grateful. But for a long time, we wanted to, live in a certain place, and it was like that's our goal, and it was that lofty goal like Shannon and I had with getting to a certain level. And Derek and I are like, one day we want to get here, and we got there. And it's not a big fancy house. We've had the big crazy house full of stuff, and we live in an 80-year-old house in the best location possible. And the house has quirks, and the windows fog up because it's got lots of humidity, and it might sink, and all of this stuff. And it's perfect. I love it just the way it is. I don't need stuff.
Is Derek's vision board the same as yours?
Yeah, we worked on it.
Oh,
we did
wow,
them
you
together.
did together.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
We were old school, kind of corny. We had some wine, and we had a bunch of magazines, and I'm like, hey, what do you want, and what do I want? And our vision boards 10 years ago were more stuff, and, I think it's just hitting 50 and going, okay, vision is some of these experiences, like being within 10 feet of an African elephant that is huge, out, not in a game park, not in a safari vehicle with a whole bunch of people, but us and these elephants. I'm like, okay, that was good. That was on my vision board.
Wow.
So more experiences, I would say. And honestly, probably even less stuff than I have now.
So that's my next question. Experiences or things?
Oh yeah, definitely not things.
Experiences.
It's experiences.
Okay. Experiences. And then how do you translate those life lessons, to your children?
Ah, that's so good. We and we are definitely letting them know. I mean, prior to, or I guess right when we were going through all our marriage trouble, we had built the dream house. This massive. It won awards. It was a showpiece. It was one of those houses people drive by and go, wow, holy. And as a result, we got further away. I can speak for myself. I got further away from who I am because all of a sudden in that house, and our kids were there, but in that house, I couldn't have my grandma's old antiques and the ratty sofa that's just so comfortable. I love it. And, the painting that I did because I'm an super amateur painter. But I couldn't have any of those things out because it didn't fit this perfect mold. And we just I got away from who I was, and we sold all of that and got rid of all of that, and I've got my grandma's antiques and quirky stuff and a threadbare couch that's super comfortable and floors that squeak, and our girls watch that and they see how happy I am and how happy we are, and they look and go, okay, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
All these places, I mean, this cruise that we just did before the Africa trip, I mean, it was very opulent. It was really fancy. It was lovely. We didn't buy a single thing. Did not purchase anything. Left with just these memories going, that was amazing.
Right.
And then went to Africa where you really had, even we had nothing. Had a little duffel bag with a change of clothes. And sometimes you ran out of tinned beans and you had no fuel for your gas can to heat it. So you ate cold beans. And you're like, but I'm super happy. Like, this is what I need. So, I think all we can do is lead by example, and talk to them about it.
And your kids, they have nothing if they don't have you as a unit.
Exactly. And that was the big thing.
It tears families apart all the time, but
Yeah.
and really it's the kids that really miss out on things.
And it is, and I learned something good. Shannon gave the best advice. I'll get all choked up, so I'll try to not. But she said something really, really good. She said, when I was struggling with this, and I'm like, what are you thinking? What should I do? It was all led by me, and I had actually moved out of our house and the whole bit. And Shannon,
Wow.
I said, Shannon, like, what should I do? And when something exciting happens or something scary or bad, I want to tell Derek. And Shannon just listened. She had no judgment. She just listened. She's like, is there more good than bad? And then she was quiet. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's more good than bad. She's like, so work on it. Work on the good.
Wow.
And communicate with Derek where it's not so good, but work on the good. And we do. And I credit her.
That's deep.
It is, honestly, I am so grateful. You know, the thing you hear about it and people are like, well, you know, the grass is greener on the other side. And I say it all the time. I mean, half of our business is people getting divorced. And I have all these books and I have all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? The grass is green where you water it. I wasn't watering my grass over there. And I thought the grass could be greener elsewhere. And I focused on all this stuff that Derek did that drove me nuts. Of course, I couldn't do anything that was imperfect. Like, everything on me was fine. But we fixed it. And I won't take him for granted, and I won't take Shannon for granted, because she's the one who helped me, which helped my kids. And we talk about it all the time. They don't like to. Like, my girls are 19 and 21 now, so they were 15 and 18, 14 and 16, like, you know, that young, vulnerable age. And they're like, and I'm like, you know, the dark time with Dad and I. And the girls are like, yeah, well, and I'm like, no, it's good for you guys to know that we went through this, because it's really, you know, we worked through it, but I want you to know how.
And the gift that they see, because they're going to have relationships that are going to struggle, and to know that Mom and Dad are real.
Yeah.
They struggled with that, and they can now use that in their own relationships. Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. You got me choked up here.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, yeah, thank you. 'Cause it's,
wow.
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, and they're like, yeah, we're not doing very well. I'm like, okay, hold the press. I'm coming over right now. We're going to talk about this. And I tell them exactly what went on with Derek and I. I'm like, it's worth it. It's if there's
what a gift that you're giving. What a gift you're giving.
Yeah, and people look at me sometimes and like, you know, and some of them, there isn't more good than bad. And some of them are so far down the path, they're like, no, we've decided. I'm like, okay, I hear you. I respect that, of course, and that is what it is. But if there's a glimmer of...
But really, you know, we see this happen all the time. People come out of relationships, they go to a new relationship, and it's the same stuff, just a different pile, right?
100%.
So you need to work,
like
yes, with half the money. It's really, you got to work on yourself.
Oh, 100%.
And then, so I often say this, you know, you can't love another if you don't love yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to be comfortable in your skin. You have to love yourself before you can love somebody else.
And Randy, right there, I didn't love myself. You know, and you would have.
How could you not love yourself?
No, thank you. But
this is the reality of it. Somebody that looks like they're all put together.
I know. And damn,
including myself. I'm going to put myself there.
Yes. Yeah, I looked super put together. I think I looked more put together then than now. And no one knew. And I didn't let anybody in. It was just, I had all these walls up and I was like, yeah, everything's going to be just fine. I can just hold it all together. And it's like, but why?
Yeah.
Because people want to help. And number one, when I was vulnerable with my husband and admitted all these fears and weaknesses and insecurities and all of that stuff, and instead of him criticizing and judging and doing all the things that the guy I thought that's what he would do, and he's like, you feel like that sometimes? Because I do too. And I'm like, you do? We've been married, I don't know how many years at that point, 18 years or something, and we call it our new marriage. Like, people are like, how long have you been married? I'm like, coming up 25 years, but actually it's like 5 and 20. You know,
wow.
It's, yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky we made it, and we're lucky that we didn't let our egos get in the way of, because I had a few people in my life who I think were disappointed that Derek and I got back together. And they're like, oh, yeah, you caved, hey? I'm like, I really don't see it that way.
Wow.
Sometimes misery loves company.
Yeah.
So.
That's sad. That is sad.
I know, isn't it? Like, you like, reflect on that for a minute. You're like, wow. But, yeah. Important lessons we're sharing here. Oh my goodness. You're like, this is going to be another thing talking about
I was going to say, what's
estate.
the most important lesson that you've learned? And you just shared it, I believe. So thank you for doing that. That is really return on life.
Yeah.
That's return from the past, from life. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you for letting me share, because I wouldn't have. I mean, 5 years ago, Tamara Stone wouldn't have talked like this. Or 8 years, when I was living that perfect, rigid life. And, I've had people, our managing broker here, he ran into me at the office one time, and he said, Tamara, can I pause you for a sec? He didn't know what's going on. We weren't tight or anything else. And he's like, I'm not sure what's going on or what's different, but you seem really happy. And he's like, you just seem great. And I got all emotional and got teary-eyed, and I'm like, wow, he could tell that this is kind of the new me. So,
yeah. Well, we do radiate what we're vibrating about.
Yeah, it's true.
And we do attract what we want to attract.
Holy cow, so
true.
The
power of vibration, which is what I shared about yesterday, is the power of vibration and our why.
Wow.
And when those two come in alignment and our goals fit those, magic happens. Magic happens.
I agree. I believe it.
And it's out of curiosity and imagination. These are the two gifts that we're given as children.
Yes.
Curiosity and imagination.
Yeah.
And then over time, they get stuffed in a drawer, this and that. We lose our curiosity and we lose our imagination. And there's a great quote, talks about the poverty of our imagination.
Wow.
And when you think about that poverty, think of poverty. You saw poverty in Africa, yet those kids had an imagination.
Oh, yeah.
But you come to North America and you see poverty, and imagination seems like, well, it doesn't even exist in the same realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so.
Yeah, you're reminding me, there's a quote I like that I actually got from one of Ken Goodfellow's coaches, Bill, and it says, get out of judgment and into curiosity. And because I think it's easy, again, I keep referencing social media, but it's easy to just be like, oh, yep, he looks perfect, she looks perfect, this is better, they've got more, this, and it's like, okay, how did they get there? What makes them tick? And having that curiosity, whether they're in a really successful place or a really hard place, being a little curious helps you be empathetic, helps you understand, helps you and them get that vibration going.
Right. Here's my quote on it. When you shut down your curiosity and turn off your imagination, you sabotage the greatness within.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's
shut
really
down your
good.
curiosity, turn off your imagination, you sabotage the greatness within.
Wow, that's beautiful. And it's so true.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, let's shut it down with a speed round.
Yeah, love it. That's good, as we're both like, this is heavy.
But you know what? Our viewers are going to get so much out of this. Thank you for sharing so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you
deep.
for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So let's have some fun.
Okay, I'm ready.
Fine dining,
Yes.
Uber Eats,
Yep.
or takeout?
Fine dining.
Fine dining.
Yeah, experience. I'm an experience girl. Yeah.
What do you do to let your hair down?
Ooh, I just undo the hair clip. What do I do to let my hair down?
I know you're like outdoorsy.
I'm super outdoorsy, so I was gonna say, it's gonna sound so corny and cliched, but I mean, if I had my way, I'd go to a dance party, go to a disco, dance to 80s and 90s Euro pop, and just be wild. It's my favorite thing of conferences.
Wow.
But nowadays there aren't as many of those, or my kids would think it's weird if I was at the nightclub with them, and I don't know what hip hop even is. So I run. But I run to crazy fast, I go on my Spotify and I'm like, okay, 190 beats per minute Euro pop, and then I get out there and it's my dancing, along Mission Creek Greenway or what have you. So that's my
awesome.
Yeah, I'm very hyper, so I have to burn this energy off that way.
Favorite band?
Depeche Mode. Again, I'm showing my age. I actually have tickets to go to them next month. So.
Where at?
In Vancouver.
Okay.
So
I just came from Vegas and I went to the Sphere and saw U2 play.
I would love.
You have to check out the Sphere.
I've heard it's phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
And I think U2 would be amazing to see.
It was just.
But even another favorite band, it's going to sound so funny, and my eldest daughter got me onto her. I wasn't really into her music until I watched the little documentary. But Taylor Swift,
yes,
I'm a Swiftie now. Like, my kids laugh at me and they're like, Mom, seriously, it's so embarrassing. But I was on the waiting list, didn't get tickets to her show. But yeah, hyper fun music that makes you move.
Right on. Text,
yep,
talk, call, or email?
I'd love to say talk, like face-to-face talk.
Okay.
But someone's getting me a message, text.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm busy, and even if it's just that I'm busy in my own mind, get to the point. I'm an impatient person, so.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this one then after that.
Yeah.
Audible or book?
Well, actually, that's going to surprise you. So I really like a book.
Okay.
So when we were in Africa, we did a lot of driving. So we downloaded and got through 3/4 of Hawaii, which is a 55-hour Audible book to listen to in the car with long days of driving. But I read everything from business books to thrillers to romance to medical fiction, historical fiction, all of it. But I actually like a book. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. So I wake up, I literally kind of bolt out of bed, go for a run or go do something to burn off some energy, run all day, get into bed. I go to bed really early, so I like to be in my bed by 8:30 with my cup of Valerian Night's tea and my reading glasses perched on my nose and an actual book. And I read every single night.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would not have thought that.
No, everybody says
and
that.
You're up at what time?
About 5 or 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
Love
I get
it.
a good sleep. I need my sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's funny because I get into bed and my husband, the kids are like, "Oh, Mom, here you go." Because I sit in bed and I'm like, and it's my take out the battery.
Yeah.
Chill. So.
Awesome. Okay, so trick question, last question.
I'm ready.
If you were a scratch and sniff sticker,
Ooh.
so
yeah.
scratch and sniff sticker,
Yeah.
and we scratched you, what would we smell?
Ooh, I thought you were going to say, what's my favorite? If it was, what would your favorite smell be? I would have said gas. But
Like gasoline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or that would be the one I'd want to smell. Or what was that liquid cement we had as kids? Do you ever remember the liquid cement? Did they call it? I can't remember what it was, but yeah, like petroleum.
Okay.
But what what would I want to be? A reference or make you think of me? Lemon.
Lemon.
Sweet, tart, astringent, vibrant.
I love it.
That'd be a lemon sticker.
A lemon. Yeah. A lemon sticker. Fantastic. What a session. What a great
Thank you.
podcast.
Oh,
and
that was
thanks
fun.
for going deep.
Thanks.
So many nuggets there for our listeners to just go home and think about and resonate on.
Yeah.
And, just settle in on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I hope
fantastic.
So. And
Thank
for
you.
me too. I mean, I love your quote. I love thinking about it. I mean, you caught me off guard with a few of these. So it's, I will listen to this and learn from this as well from you. So thank you.
Awesome, Tamara. Thank you very much.
You bet. That was fun.